you. And we made it back. It's so funny how these buses never like park on the numbers that they are. But we made it back here, and the reason I started the reason I started recording is because I wanted to show this. It's actually right across from the Honda Center, actually, if you guys can see that, maybe not. But it's quite spectacular, actually. The colors, I'm really tired. The colors are really pretty neat. And I guess we probably go inside to go to our train, because we just basically walked down there when we got here this morning. Our train leaves in about 50 minutes, I think. It's like 8:10, and we leave at like 8:50, right? So we have about 40 minutes. So that's cool, but as this is the case, as is the culture of our relationship, we get to places early so that we don't have to stress out, which is nice. Here's what's very interesting, is that it was packed at Disney, but yet this transit place it's empty. I mean, it was empty, totally empty this morning. And tonight there's like one guy inside there. I mean, I guess you could just argue that, well, right, this isn't a popular way to come here, right? Southern California, everyone drives, which I would have not minded coming here. Right now, I'm so excited we're taking someone else's car. We're taking someone else's train, and someone else is driving that train. And that's pretty great, because we're tired. Although, so what'd you think? What'd you think? She's pretty tired too. What'd you think? Was it worth it? It was fun, right? Yeah, it was pretty fun. So Space Mountain was awesome. We actually waited in line a second time for the Indiana Jones ride, which after we waited there for 45 minutes, basically early this afternoon, this morning, the ride closed down, mechanical failures, and they didn't know when they'd bring it back up. And then as we were waiting for our fast pass at Space Mountain, we heard some guy say, oh yeah, I heard it was like down this morning, and then we walked up and it took us 7 minutes to get through. So he lucked out, because he obviously walked up to it after it just opened. But she's got her Mackie hat on. But so we did Space Mountain. Space Mountain was great too. And then we walked over to Indiana Jones and waited again for about 50 minutes. By the time we walked into the ride, and then the huge wait, and then experienced the ride and came out, it was about an hour and 5 minutes all in. So, and it was funny when we started waiting in line. These girls behind us, they're like, "Wow, it's only 50 minutes? That's amazing." I'm like, "Ooh, there's nothing only about 50 minutes of waiting for me in line." So anyway, but that was okay. Now I will say that my experience over the last time I was here was about 4, maybe 5 years ago, and it was just at night, and it was just for the Mickey's Halloween thingy, and so there's infinitely less people, and you could argue that they probably have the same amount of staff working, and so the customer service was actually decent last time I was here. This time it was like pretty disappointing. Not only were there multiple areas of disappointment, meaning like we'd waited in line, and then you get up and I'm like, hey, okay, great, I'll have a water and a Haagen-Dazs ice cream. And the people before me ordered a Haagen-Dazs ice cream, and then I got there and she says, oh, I'm all out of Haagen-Dazs ice cream. I'm like, what? I said, why? And she said, well, and she said, but I can get you your water. I said, okay. And I just laughed. I said, I gotta tell you. I said, the service of this whole, like the culture of your workers here, it just is really, the quality has diminished over the last several years. And she said, yeah, because I've worked here 10 years. And I thought I said, it's just really disappointing. I said, whether you care or not. And she said, well, I've worked here like 10 years. And she goes, yeah, I can absolutely agree. She said, both for the customers as well as for the workers. And I was like, oh, that's disappointing. Considering it's not like the economy's been getting lousier over the last 10 years. I mean, hopefully she took all her savings and bought Bitcoin in January of this year. Wonderful lady could retire. But to be fair, she was also basically handicapped. She was standing on her feet, the poor woman, and there was a cane next to her. And she was moving incredibly slowly, and every time she sort of moved, she like paused and she was in pain, and I'm going, this poor woman, why is she like standing on her feet all day? Anyway, so I said, the ice cream thing. And she said, well, we actually would have had ice cream had I had my radio, my earpiece in during my lunch break. And I thought to myself, okay, well, so what are you telling me? Are you telling me that you didn't do what you were supposed to do? And then I said, well, wait a second. And I said, because there's a guy standing next to her and he's like unboxing the other products. And I said, well, wait, if you're on your lunch break, I said, you can't work. You legally cannot work. You have to take a lunch break. And she said, yeah. She said, but I pulled out the earpiece. She said, if I had it in, then I would have been able to tell this guy that there was ice cream, that we needed ice cream, and you would have your ice cream. And I thought, okay, wait a minute. So I appreciate you trying to take some degree of accountability on this. I said, but I said to her, that's a healthy boundary for you to say, look, I'm at lunch and I'm taking my earpiece out because I'm not working. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm trying to explain this to Gracie. I said, look, she can do that. I said, but her manager or her management or the person who takes over after her needs to, watch the inventory of the store, if you will, which is like this little cart that has like 10 items maybe. It's got like ice cream and Dippin' Dots and water and Diet Coke and Sprite and, literally like 10 items all in. And she said, yeah, she said it's a bummer. But yet she had the earpiece, but it was still not in her ear, actually. It was dangling from her and it was clipped to her shirt. And I'm like, okay, well, she's not at lunch right now. So can't she push the button and say ice cream? It was, I don't know. It was just that sort of like, it's the kind of things actually that when I'm at a public area or whatever in Thailand and those things happen, I think to myself, oh God, this is so Thailand. And so I'm here in the US and you could argue I'm at the organization that has, that basically sets the standard for customer service because, or at least they tell people they should, because like there's the Disney way. And where I work, actually, we've had our HR people, our organization, USD, has spent thousands of dollars to send our staff to learn the Disney way. And I swear to God, I hope that doesn't result in, okay, so if you're at your lunch break, don't take any personal responsibility and make sure that when you hand over the keys to the person who's going to take over, you have to, don't, there's no accountability. And I was just like so disappointed. I said, my God. And so anyway, this is just one example. That happened with the interface for at least 5 people. And it was the whole, this is my responsibility, and it's someone else's problem, and and all this. And I can empathize for that, because when you're in that culture, I mean, the only way to survive in a dysfunctional culture is to be dysfunctional. And so it was sad, but again, I was actually very grateful that I was just having this little chat with this woman who had been working there 10 years. Because she totally acknowledged the fact that, that she's disappointed, but that the customer suffers. And I would submit to you that over the last 10 years, the price of the Disneyland ticket has not decreased. So, and so then the other thing too is that the rides and the dress rooms and all of this and the fixtures and the tile on the floor and that sort of thing, there's chips in it, there's grout that needs to be redone, there were there's paper on the floor, there was trash inside of the monorail, and all this stuff, and I'm just like, that's basic, dude. I mean, that's like, how do I manage my Wendy's to the best of my ability? How can I open up a KFC and basically break even? I mean, that is, so it was disappointing to see that. And then, of course, it was a little disappointing that, I wasn't getting this world-class service for world-class money. I did, though. The good news, though, is I waited till about 7 o'clock when Gracie asked me how much it cost. I waited till about 7 o'clock to tell her how much it actually cost to be there. Because she mentioned that she would have been pretty distracted the whole day if she had known it was $250 just for the two of us. Anyway, so we're here. We're going to grab our AMTRAK. We're going to head back to San Diego. We're going to sleep the whole way. Or we're going to close our eyes the whole way. I don't know if we'll sleep, but anyway, I will say that I'm grateful we did it. And the thing that I've actually reiterated to Gracie several times is that I don't care where it is. I mean, I'd rather stand in line in a ride that's going to close down than not be with Gracie. So that was pretty awesome. So anyway, it's Mike's and Gracie. Ta-da! Saying I hope you live in the dream, because if you're not living the dream, then what?
You're doing it wrong.
Bam! What up? So I don't know what year this opened or whatever, but I would submit to you it's fairly new. I mean, they got a restaurant over there, but then they got this space available for rent, I guess. But it's awesome. It's clean, it's new, it's sexy, it's efficient, and it looks like they're still doing some construction down there on the floors, maybe something like that. But yeah, they've got these little places. Oh, actually, I'm gonna cruise down there and see if they have a Coke Zero, because all I had today was basically water. No, I had a Diet Coke for dinner. But it would be good to get some little bubbles in me. So anyway, and I also don't want to chew up a whole lot of time on the camera here. But it's really awesome. So this is the Anaheim Transit Center, right across from the Honda Center, which I can tell you, I think the Ducks play there. I'm not sure. But in any case, I'm sure we'll be back. But it'll be good to get home. It'll be good to go to sleep. So Gracie. How did you know about it? Did you see a commercial? Why did you have the desire to have a Slim Jim? I can't remember. Did you see a commercial, TV commercial?
I guess we watch a movie.
That's a movie.
They're eating this.
And they're eating this. She's like, what's this? So this is her first Slim Jim.
And this is like...
What do you think?
When it's like everybody are like, for example, like drinking, oh, I have something. So this is like...
And they had one of those?
Yeah.
So what do you think?
It's weird, but
yeah, it is weird.
It's like, it tastes like smoke.
Yeah, right, smoky, yeah. So we're gonna go up to track 2 with our Slim Jim and our Coke Zero, and we're gonna live the dream. So, in about 25 minutes, we'll be leaving. I don't know if you can see this train, 792. Is the second one down there. Anyway, it leaves at 8:54. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, it's pretty cool. I mean, they have their signage is great, but